All right, welcome back. In this section, we're going to talk a little bit about the actual network internet controllers, the NICs on the backs of the cores, and we'll also talk a little bit about which switches to use and how to configure them. So let's talk about the NICs on the back of that core. First and foremost, very, very important, LAN A and LAN B will be available on almost every single Q-SYS device, and LAN A is the primary network. That is where your Q-SYS traffic goes. Just because there's two of them doesn't mean they're completely interchangeable. You do always want to use LAN A first and LAN B is second. LAN A is the lead actor and LAN B is the understudy that only steps in when the lead actor goes down or because the understudy has poisoned LAN A's lunch and finally gets to step up into the limelight like LAN B always deserves to. It is critical. You'd be surprised how many people just plug the cable into LAN B on the back and that is the source of their problems. So LAN A is primary. LAN B is used both for either redundancy or for other things that you may be ending up connecting to. If you're using a redundant network, then yes, of course, that makes sense that LAN B would be going to that system. But maybe you're using LAN B for other networks as well. Maybe that's what's connecting to your corporate network. Maybe that's where the internet connection is. So LAN A is for your Q-SYS traffic. LAN B is either for redundant or those other traffic options. Now, hopefully this goes without saying that if you're using redundant topology, then that means that your LAN A and LAN B are going to be going to either VLANs or different switches. If you're not doing that, then that's just two cables from the same core to the same switch. That's not redundant. That's not how it works. It's not that the cable is redundant. It's, you're trying to mitigate if something else goes wrong. But that's again, that's something that some people just get wrong. So we want to make sure you're aware of it. Most cores have LAN A and LAN B, but other cores may have more. There are some cores that have LAN C or LAN D or an auxiliary port. And all of those are available to be used for extra connections as well. So do be aware that that is available to you. But when you're configuring them, a couple of things just to be aware of. They should not have overlapping subnets, so make sure you're keeping an eye on that when you're configuring them. And very similarly, they should not have more than one gateway. There should only be one gateway defined for the core. The gateway is basically the IP address that you assign for the core to search for IP addresses that are not within its searchable range. So if it's trying to get to the internet or somewhere else, this is where it goes to escape your immediate domain and search elsewhere. If you're giving it instructions for two different gateways to escape from when it's trying to find something else, then bad things happen. So only one exits from the system, only one gateway should be defined. Okay, you may have seen this in the help file. I want to really pinpoint something on it right here. This is a chart of all of the various protocols that can be enabled on each of those NICs. So LAN A, LAN B, and the auxiliary NIC. You'll notice that most of them have everything. But where are the missing bullets? Well, right down here in the section where you have PTP-v2, your primary and secondary QLAN network, and AES-67. So it's very important that if you are doing AES-67, that is not going to take place on the auxiliary NIC. That's got to be on LAN A or LAN B. You'll notice that the primary QLAN, that is LAN A. It's not on LAN B. Secondary QLAN is on LAN B, not on LAN A. And the auxiliary also does not do PTP-v2, so you can't do any clocking on the auxiliary. Also, when you are connecting to the core and pushing your design, that should definitely be on LAN A or LAN B as well. If you go to the Core Manager, you will have the ability to customize this field here. This allows you to interrogate every single different type of protocol that could be enabled on LAN A or LAN B, and you can choose to enable or disable them individually. So I talked earlier about how, hey, if you are not doing any JSON scripting with QRC, then there's no reason to leave the port available for QRC, which here says 14.17.10. There's no reason to leave that open. Right? And if you're in an installation where the IT department really cares about security and just wants to make sure that anything you're not using is locked off just in case, well, go through here and interrogate it. Make sure you know, hey, I'm not using this protocol. There's no reason to enable it. Might as well turn it off. This is where you would go. This is in Core Manager, or you can also manage it through Reflect. Dial it in for each of your cores to make sure that you are trimming down the possible ports into only that which you need. Okay, so picking your switches. How do you configure the switches? How do you know how to configure the switches? These are tricky questions. When you are going into any installation, first and foremost, go to the help file. I cannot stress this enough. Go to the help file or qsys.com/networking. They'll both get you the same information. Don't come back to this video. This video is good. You're learning lots of things here. We're very proud of you. But I can't keep updating this video every time anything changes, where we can do that with the website and the help file. So that should be your source of truth if you ever need to learn anything. It can also go into much more detail than I can here. So go there first and learn what you need to do. Then let's consider how you are installing your system. Generally speaking, it's going to land into one of two categories. Option number one, you are in control of everything, where Q-SYS is its own island, your AV world is its own, it's not interacting with the corporate network, and you are in control of everything. You're buying the switches, you're installing them. What a lovely world where you get to control all the stuff. That's what we would hope for all of you. The alternative is that you are integrating into a system where there is already a pre-existing corporate network and you need to be integrated into it. The switches might already exist, and you may need to validate whether or not those switches are even capable of managing QLAN in the manner that we need it to. So option one, option two, both of them have their benefits and their detractors. Let's look at the plug-and-play setup first of all. If you're doing this, if you are just going in there with your own standalone island and you're able to do it the way you want it to, I cannot recommend enough that you consider using the Q-SYS NS series switches. The NS series switches are pre-configured with everything that you need. They are configured to operate with AES67 and Dante and QLAN, all the streaming, everything that you would need right out of the box. The QoS is configured already. IGMP snooping, it's just ready for you to open up a box, plug it in, and it works. That's ideal. These are layer 2 switches. We're not doing any sort of routing between VLANs within the switch themselves, but these are legitimate switches. Right now, as of taping this particular video, these are the switches we have available. You can see that these are Netgear switches. These are not like bottom of the barrel switches that we just pre-configured that we bought for $5. These are legitimate enterprise grade switches. But you know, as time goes on, if these videos have outlasted this particular series, just go and take a look at our website, see what the current models of switches are. I don't want to make sure that this video becomes obsolete immediately. You know, we made these switches because after a while, we discovered that our support teams were basically being logged down by just doing networking supporting. That was 90% of the support calls we were getting are people who couldn't configure their switches properly. And so we realized it would make more sense for us to go the route of getting these switches in your hands so that they can be useful to you. So take the benefits of what we have learned and are trying to do for you to make your life easier. I promise it will be worth it. And honestly, that is still the majority of issues that people have when they're dealing with Q-SYS. So many times they say, the thing is broken, the X is broken, the Y is broken. It's usually a networking issue. It's almost always a networking issue. So if you can get away from all those issues by using something that works out the bat, hey, take advantage of that. If that's not your option. Then you're in a world where you need to validate switches and hopefully configure them in a way that the IT department of the installation you're going into will be happy with you and able to meet your demands. So again, cannot stress this enough. Take a look at our help file, take a look at the networking section of the website. That's going to give you plenty of examples of how to walk through a typical installation of a switch. If you are more experienced with configuring a switch yourself, then hopefully this is a place that's a little bit more comfortable for you. You will have to figure out how to navigate the GUI of that switch, where you go and log in as an admin for the first time, figuring out where to turn on certain protocols, how to assign the different DSCP values to the various priority queues. And that can be tricky if you're brand new to it. We unfortunately cannot offer you guides for every switch in the world on how to do that. There's more switches than we would ever be able to keep track of, right? We can give you a couple of examples. So there are some examples you can download from the website, which will give you, hey, here's an example of where you will find these in this common switch, but you're not going to find every switch. So realistically, you are going to have to hunt this down. This is basically our code for saying, we love you, but this is very much a you problem, and you're going to have to deal with this on your own. However, we can give you the help of knowing, which switches have known issues. So there will be a list on the website of switches that you should potentially probably think of avoiding. And then look around, go to communities, ask for help, see if there are other people out there who have worked with that switch. That might be your greatest resource. Why? What's communities, you ask? If you go to developers.qsc.com, you will just find yourself steeped in a rich social website full of Q-SYS integrators and installers and designers that will share plugins and swap war stories and talk about the latest installs that they've done and exchange code. And hey, one of those people has probably worked with the switch that you're wrestling with right now. So ask questions, put out feature requests, things like that. That is Q-SYS Communities. You should absolutely use that to your advantage because the world is smarter than me. Don't just listen to me, listen to the world. All right, so that wraps up our just which switches to pick. Now we gotta make sure that if they're broken, we do something about it. In the next section, we'll dive into troubleshooting. See you in a bit.